right for the patient. First, do no harm. You literally are the breathing, living embodiment of that. And people will recognize that. If not now, tomorrow, I promise you, you're going to have a beautiful legacy. And hopefully you will get this case dismissed. Diamonds are made under pressure. You're a diamond. Just keep being you. You hold your head up high and tall. You be proud. And it doesn't matter what shit they throw at you. Even if they slap that 35-year sentence, you just be yourself. You take it like a man. You be proud and you just smile. And life is going to take care of you. It's going to be fine. I promise you.
1 second. Why did the judge not want to discuss the mRNA jabs?
Because they were going to lose. There's no way that they were going to win if we were going to discuss jabs. Because then all the efficacy, all of the data, all the information, all the stuff that you see Peter McCullough talking about, all the data, all the science, all the stuff that Jim Thorpe talks about, all of the, premature, stillbirths and miscarriage rates and neurologic injuries from it. I was going to bring in Breanne Dressen, who lives right here, 20 minutes from me, who is one of the more outspoken, vaccine injured people in the world, who, is co-founder of the react19.org website. And so all that information is going to come in, and they knew that they weren't going to win on that. There was no way.
Kirk, this is relevant because look, on the face of it, you carried out fraud. And fraud is wrong. You shouldn't do fraud. But if you do fraud because you're trying to save people from getting a death shot and being killed and maimed, and you do what you do, now you're suddenly a hero. It changes everything. This wasn't some kind of tax avoidance fraud. This is you trying to save people. If people, wanted to round up Jews in the Second World War and someone went against the Nazi rules and laws and hit them and that was breaking the law. Later on they're looked at as a hero. They broke the law, right, but they were doing something wonderful. I'm just giving a kind of crazy example. So while you might have broken the law by taking part in fraud, when you look at the reason for it, it was the right thing. You're stopping people from getting these horrible toxic jabs, not properly researched, unsafe, often coerced and mandated to do, had to keep their jobs to do it. So it's kind of relevant. It's kind of crazy that the judge would say you're not allowed to talk about this.
Well, it is relevant. But the problem is, in the sense, not the problem that we were facing was that that's exactly what they didn't want to do, because they knew that fraud vitiates fraud. So when you have a fraudulent program, which is what this was, that you can't accuse somebody else of defrauding fraud. Okay. That's essentially what it came down to. So they had a fraudulent,
exactly.
They had a fraudulent program, and they lied to us from day one. This did not exist. It was not, I know you've had some experts on, and I know you've had people on both sides of this about whether this is a virus or whether it's not, whether they even exist or not. And without getting into that, my point being is they lied to us. Did it come from, did it come from the lab? Did it not? Is it really, as dangerous as what it was? Is it not? All of those things.
Are there alternative treatments? Are there, remember, there's no alternative treatments. It's killing
Right.
people. It's people are dying left, right, and center. The fear porn, the red graphs, the spikes. Oh my God, the waves.
Right.
It's all a lie.
Right.
It's all a lie.
All of it is. And it's still a lie. They're still trying to come out with, I don't know, what's this thing called, the H1.1.4, whatever it is that they're saying is this really deadly version. It's just the same.
Yeah, that virus that came out of someone's ass, basically. They just literally pulled out from their ass and said, this is a deadly variant. No, you just pulled it out your ass. I saw you do it, you liar. Anyway, carry on.
No, and so if they allowed that, they knew they were going to lose. And so, in a sense, their tactics were the right tactics for their case. And they managed to get the judge to bite on it and say, hey, look, I guess to some degree I signed up to do this. I I brought the vaccines in. If I were a pediatrician and already had vaccines and I just signed up to do this and everything else, maybe a different story. Because I'm just kind of continuing, but they made a big deal about, hey, what's a plastic surgeon doing, vaccines anyway, right? And I was doing it. I signed up to do it, and I signed up for the reason to protect people. That's it. There was no ulterior motive. I wasn't trying to take money from anybody. I wasn't taking any money from anybody. The whole the whole thing that they were trying to accuse me of with I was making money and doing whatever is that I was trying to charge people $50 for a shot. No,
All right. Okay.
I had people, I was doing this for who knows how long. And then people coming to me saying, hey, how can we help? And I said, well, I'll tell you what, this is the way you can help. Donate to this organization that's trying to help pass laws in the state of Utah here to keep this from happening again. That's what it was.
Well, I'm really glad you've clarified this, because someone commented again on my Substack today and said, "Oh, this is complete nonsense. He defrauded. He's done something illegal. He's convinced all the Trump supporters to go against Pam Bondi. But he's a criminal. He made money out of this. He was blah blah blah. But you didn't charge people, and you didn't make money from this, did you?
No, there was absolutely not. And you know what? I could have charged people. I could have billed their insurance for the administration fee, and I didn't do that. Okay, so that was legal. All the other doctors, they couldn't charge for the vaccine, but they could charge an administration fee. And the insurance company in the United States was paying anywhere from $40 to $50, okay, for people to bill their insurance to get it done, and they were getting paid to do that. The other thing is too, Ahmad, which is key in this, okay? There was no law. There were no laws. I didn't violate any laws. I violated a mandate coming from an agency in the United States, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. Okay. They were mandating this to happen. They are not a regulatory agency. They are an advisory agency only. So there were no laws. Laws in the United States have to be passed by the legislative branch, have to go through the House, have to go through the Senate. They get passed by both houses. They go to the president and he signs it. That's a law. There are no laws. And that's crucial. They were trying to shoehorn what they felt was, my violation into a fraud violation. Who did I defraud? My patients are no victims. The government is trying to say that they were defrauded on something that they didn't even own by the time it got to my office. Okay. And I use this analogy. I don't know if I used it on your show before, but it's kind of like I buy a light bulb from General Electric and Amazon ships it to me and it gets delivered. And then I decide, hey, I don't like this box of light bulbs that I got. And I take them into my backyard and I use them for target practice for my BB gun. Okay. Now, the analogy is now GE is coming after me for misusing their product that I paid for, even though I didn't pay for it, even though they gave it to me or whatever the scenario is. They're trying to say that they still own that product that was sitting in my garage or sitting in my house. And that's what the government was saying, is they paid for a product to come from a third-party organization, which was the pharmaceutical companies that, oh, by the way, they developed and they paid for in the first place, okay? And that came up in our trial. So they paid for it on both ends, okay? And then they're trying to say, hey, you misused that product that we delivered to you, but you actually don't own it. So that was our...
No, I get that. That's a great example. And you're right. This was a bioweapon funded with taxpayers' money in Chapel Hill and by BARPA, whatever the companies are in.
The head of BARDA actually testified for
BARDA.
Them.
Really?
The head of BARDA testified for them, but they couldn't present the contracts because the DOD would prevent them from presenting those contracts because they did not want that out in the open. The fraud, if you wanted to see fraud, you could look at it in those contracts. Okay. So I wasn't allowed to see them either.
So listen, truth requires censorship for it to be hidden, okay, and concealed, right? Because truth in the open flourishes and grows.
Yep.
Lies, for them to flourish, right, need propaganda and the censorship of truth.
Right, and shutting down the opposition. Yep.
Because, and just think about it, if this thing is so wonderful, this vaccine, this bioweapon is so wonderful and so amazing, They'd be boasting about everything. They'd be showing all the paper trail, the contracts, everything. Look how we did everything legitimately. Look how we did everything by the book. You wouldn't hide the information for 75 years, like the Pfizer papers. You wouldn't hide the contract. You wouldn't
You'd have
redact everything. Well done, mate.
Hey, and it's all because of people like you helping me get the word out and making sure that, I wasn't just, they were trying to just, kind of railroad me without anybody knowing about it. And, podcasts, people like you talking about it, people like you mentioning it to your friends and people that like you said, you're getting messages about me. And the reason is because you have me on your show, you talk about me. And all of the people that have been there, all the local people here that showed up at all these rallies, people that sent me messages, people that, voicemail messages on my office machine, send me text messages, people that donated to our campaign, everything else, or not campaign, but to our legal defense fund. Absolutely. So it's not there's no way I could have done this by myself. And it's thank you for everybody that's out there. And thank the Lord. It's, could not have been done without divine intervention of some sort.